is where things are going to get a little bit different because, well, everybody who was initially kind of balling, they kind of had a rough week this last week. All the guys that were on last week's MVP ladder, they struggled. So we're going to shake this thing. We're shaking up this week. And at the bottom, for the first time ever, we got a guy with technically a losing record on there. We are putting Dak Prescott at number 3. Leads the league, leads the NFL in passing yards with the literal worst defense. 4th in completion percentage and 1st in attempts. So it's not just Jameis Winston 50-50 balls up the sideline. He is moving the ball. When he throws it, it gets completed more often than not. 6 touchdowns, has been sacked only 6 times, so not even 2 full times a game with when you pass it that often. No CeeDee Lamb for the last week against the number 1 ranked defense, and had the best game he's played in years, arguably since his MVP caliber season a couple years ago. Maybe even better since you took out CeeDee Lamb. We saw what him and George Pickens did. George Pickens looked like somebody that's about to get paid a lot of money with what he did in that game. Kevontae Turpin looked good. And that was against the number 1 ranked defense. And we talked about it is basically what Joe Burrow was doing last year, just he doesn't have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins out there. He has just George Pickens right now. Jake Ferguson's all right, but
hey, just George is a pretty good just to have out there.
It's not as good as just T and Jamar, though. And he's asked to do the exact same thing with the league's worst defense and to basically go save us. The saving grace is, hey, we can get 3 from anywhere on the field. Problem is your defense is giving up 8. They're not even just giving up 7. They're finding ways to give up 8. They're finding a way to leave 1 second on the play clock at the end of the game. So that tie against the Packers, the fact that a 1 second, when he left the field, his team had a win or was winning with 40 points against the number 1 ranked defense and won a lot of people's consensus top 3 or 4 team in the game. So Dak, in a week where everybody else kind of wet the bed and you were on fire, congratulations. You made the 3rd spot. Will you stay here? Well, you can't go 1-2 and you can't be 1-3-1. You got to be at least 2-2-1 to keep it going. But for this week, you get in there basically a little bit of help to get you here. But moving on to number 2, who didn't really need a whole lot of help, but he got it anyway. Puka Nacua, leading the NFL in receiving by, literally everything in receptions and targets and yards. The one thing he doesn't have is a lot of touchdowns. He does have a nice 50-yard rushing touchdown to tack onto it too. He is absolutely cooking. He's getting fed the ball. He's moving the chains. He's the lead blocker on some of these motion runs. He's getting end arounds. He's doing everything you could possibly need for a Rams team that is 3-1 at a big Jordan Davis away from being 4-0. So we're putting Puka Nacua at number 2. He absolutely obliterated that Colts secondary single-handedly, which is an indictment on the Colts for putting Xavier Howard one-on-one with him. But I digress. Puka Nacua is absolutely awesome and opens things up for Devontae, Tutu Atwell, the run game. Stafford, being 500 years old, isn't expanding the play as much. Puka Nacua has been absolutely awesome.
Yeah. By the way, he is 9 more receptions than the next closest. Sorry, 8 more receptions than the next closest, who, by the way, is Jake Ferguson. He is 7 more targets than the next closest. And he also has tied for the most amount of 40-plus plays this season, receiving-wise, with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Who he has 101 more yards on top of him. So he's been absolutely sensational. And he's doing it with Devontae Adams on the other side too. So you can't just say, they're force feeding him. No, he's making Devontae Adams' job easier at this point. And that's crazy to think about.
If it's telling, he is the only receiver within the top 5 that is under 14 yards per catch because he's catching short and long balls. He's at 12 yards per catch, which tells you how many yards this man. He is averaging 25 more yards per game than the next closest person. That's crazy to me.
And think about how many times they just throw a screen and he's breaking tackles and the amount of people he's running through the end arounds. They use him like a fullback on any given moment too. He's been sensational across the board. If anyone that's not a quarterback is going to win this year, Puka's in the driver's seat for it.
He is 6th in the league in yards after contact behind Bijan Robinson, Bucky Irving, Christian McCaffrey, Devin Achane, DK Metcalf, and Puka.
Yeah, basically 4 guys that catch screen passes and running backs and then get a lot of yards after catch. And then DK, who just had 87 of them on one single play this last week against the Vikings, which really spiked it. So Puka Nacua right now at number 2. Then at number 1, a little bit of not much of a surprise, but a mild surprise. We got Josh Allen back at the top. He's been fine for the most part this year. He hasn't been extraordinary minus that second half against the Ravens. But when Justin Herbert kind of fell apart a little bit against the Giants there, he wasn't bad, but he was not good. The 2 picks, losing the game to the Giants. Daniel Jones, the 2 picks, losing to the Rams. Granted, he had a 75-yard touchdown wiped off of. That probably would have made a big difference, but that the rules is the rules. We're dealing with what we're dealing with here. Josh Allen still has 7 passing touchdowns, couple rushing, and he's not Jalen Hurts in the rushing touchdowns because James Cook leads the NFL in rushing touchdown. So he's not even poaching them like he's not a fantasy tush push merchant right now and still getting it done on the ground. They're arguably the best team in football when you factor in record as well. They've been awesome. They've done everything they need. Even against the Saints, they're a little slow out of the gate. Josh Allen throws a questionable pick. And he's like, oh yeah, Josh Allen. Touchdown to Dalton Cage, shakes people out of their shoes. Where Josh Allen's taking the number 1 spot right now because Justin Herbert kind of fell. Daniel Jones kind of fell. Like there's not a whole lot of other guys do throw up there right now with what we've seen to start the year. Jordan Love kind of isn't quite in that conversation yet. Geno Smith throws way too many interceptions. Patrick Mahomes made a pretty good push, honestly, throwing 4 touchdowns. If he does that again next week, he's going to find himself in here. But MVPs are very interesting right now. All the guys that were kind of in cruise control early on slowed down a little bit. So Josh Allen could kind of take the spot as a placeholder for now. And Lamar, you can't get sacked 15 times when you're Lamar Jackson. You can't lose 107 yards on sacks. And it's not because your offensive line's bad. It's because you run around too damn much and try to make huge plays. But
his 10 touchdown to 1 interception ratio is not too bad.
That's great, especially with how few times he does throw the ball. The problem is how many drives stall because you get sacked. Like how many times you wait, you scramble, then Aiden Hutchinson trips you. He's in the conversation, but I can't put him in there. I already bent the rules getting 1, 2, and 1 Dak in there. I can't do 1 and 3. Like I got to draw the line somewhere, and it's already paper thin right now.
That's fair. I will say I'm kind of surprised Jared Goff isn't getting any love.
He's number 4, honestly. Like
okay.
I ran out of space. I ran out of space. If you'd have lit up the Browns just a little bit more, maybe I ran out of space.
I just keep saying we've talked about this before. I still think Jared Goff is the most underrated quarterback in today's game, with the fact that nobody respects what he's doing. And I know I have an Amon-Ra jersey right here. He's part of the reason why, but like let's be honest, Jared Goff is throwing and slinging the rock to everybody and anybody under the sun. And yes, it helps having David Montgomery breaking off 60-yard touchdown runs as well as Jahmyr Gibbs doing exactly the same thing. Like, it's been an impressive run for the Lions. So that's why it kind of surprises me that Jared Goff isn't up here. But at the same time, I get it. We can only put 3 on here. As the person who just did the Heisman one, and I'm like, I could have 7 guys up here. I totally understand.
I wanted to give some love to non-quarterbacks too. We already know the award's going to go to a quarterback, but this is a different ladder. So I'm going to give a shout out to someone who is doing something so dominant here. Dak, what he did against that number 1 defense, I was like, all right, we got to give a little bit of love here. If you told me Jared Goff's 3 or 2, I'm not going to argue. Like I ran out of spots. I almost put Jared Goff 1. I just wanted to, if you're going to take that number 1 spot, I wanted just a touch more where he just comfortably beat the Browns because they're a well-oiled machine and the Browns are a catastrophe. So it's like, maybe if what he did to the Ravens was coming off of that, I think he might have jumped to the 1 spot. But Jared Goff's in that conversation. If I could have like 3.5, he's right there.
Yeah,
he's probably going to be there.
If you get the honorable mention here, it's Jared Goff.
Exactly. Like he is number 4. He's off next week, so chances are he might jump into the top 3 next week just because somebody else on this list is going to screw it up. So I'm joking. They're not actually off, but they are playing the Bengals, so that he might as well be off. He's going to be off by halftime at the way the Bengals have been playing. But this is what we have for this week's MVP ladder. Let us know down below who you have as the MVP. Who is on your MVP ladder going into week 5.